the President of the United States and the President of the Federated Republic of Brazil, accompanied by the Director General of the International Labor Organization.
Let's get this over with.
They will drive our clean energy transition. They will keep the global supply chain secure. When I think of climate change, I think of jobs. I've also directed my team to make a historic increase in the number of refugees admitted from Latin America. For decades, immigration reform has been a bipartisan in this country. Unfortunately, the mega Republican in Congress and my predecessor spent 4 years gutting the immigration system under my predecessor.
Everybody's always blaming me for everything.
We finally beat Big Pharma. I've been fighting it since I've been a freshman. The Department of Labor is developing an emergency rule to require all employers with 100 or more employees that together employ over 80 million workers to ensure their workforces are fully vaccinated.
President Biden and I believe in the Second Amendment, but we also know common sense solutions are at hand.
If you need 80 shots in a magazine, you shouldn't own a gun. I got elected to the Senate when I was 29 years old. The only difference was he was eligible when he got elected to take office. I had to wait 17 days to be eligible. That was 827 years ago.
Well, first of all, I would like to greet President Biden and to say to President Biden, can you hear me, President Biden? This is an historical moment for Brazil and for the U.S. President Biden, can you hear me? You can? Yes, good. And so there's the U.S. delegation that is here with me. I'd like to greet my wife that is also here. I'd like to greet the Brazilian trade unionists that came to my invitation by my labor minister, and also like to greet the U.S. trade union.
Politico writes the following about the president, saying, quote here, after briefly touting his economic record, POTUS reflected on his decision to seek the presidency. He told the story about the events of Charlottesville in 2017 as the reason for his campaign. A few minutes later, he told the story again, nearly word for word.
At a fundraiser this week, President Biden told donors about how Charlottesville inspired his campaign, and then according to the pool, a few minutes later, he told the story again, nearly word for word. What's up with that?
What I can tell you is, and I'm going to be careful not to talk about, because this was a campaign event for this upcoming campaign, obviously in 2024, so I'm not going to speak to that, put that out there for the Hatch Act. But what I can speak to is, look, the president was making very clear why he decided to run in 2019. He made it very clear as to what he saw in this country and what was going on. And he got 81 million votes, a historic amount of votes from Americans across the country who believed that this was a president who can help protect our democracy, get our economy back on track, and could be a leader and the adult in the room. And so that's what you saw. I'm not going to speak to comments that were made during a campaign event, but I can certainly speak to why the president is president today and why he decided to take on this job.
Following up on Peter's comment about the fundraiser for, we all understand these are off camera. We were not witnesses to that except for our pool that was present. But for the president to retell a story, we've all heard him tell many times in full. And stipulating that we often, as human beings, we misspeak, we do things, I've done it myself, so stipulating all of that. Is it any concern that he would fully retell a story in the same space, in the same event?
Sometimes we speak as well from here and retell a story. But look, I think it's important to note that the president was speaking, as you said, at a fundraiser, and he was speaking from his heart. He was speaking about why he's decided to do this. And you hear the president talk about this, it's always incredibly emotional for him because he didn't have to. He went through an incredibly difficult time when he was deciding to jump into the race. And so, but he saw as somebody who served as senator, as somebody who served as vice president, what was going on in this country under the last president.
So he did
Charlottesville.
knowingly and mindfully that he wanted to reach
You know,
out.
I have not spoken to the president about it, certainly, but what I can say is the passion that he has when he tells that story and how important it is for him to have done something because he believed, our democracy was at stake.